It's wild to think about now, but back in the early days of television, networks weren't exactly great at keeping track of their content. One particular episode of The Honeymooners, part of the legendary Classic 39, from 1955-56, has simply disappeared. Fans have long speculated about an episode called Love Letter that was supposedly scripted and maybe even taped, but no known copies exist. Even Jackie Gleason himself later mentioned it in interviews, saying it was one of his favorites, which only makes its absence sting more. Shares Mass Live. What's especially strange is that most of the lost Honeymooners episodes were eventually recovered or archived thanks to Gleason. But this one, it's gone without a trace. No reels, no notes, no confirmed plotline, just whispers among collectors. For a show that's been so well preserved, having even one episode up and vanish like that is baffling. It almost feels like someone hit the reset button and erased it from TV history, adds SFGATE. While most people think of I Love Lucy as being perfectly preserved, there was actually a special episode that aired only once, and then poof, gone. It was a promotional episode tied to Philip Morris cigarettes, which makes sense since they sponsored the show in the early days. It featured Lucy and Ricky performing skits and songs directly for the sponsor, lending advertising and entertainment in a way that feels bizarre now. But despite it being part of the show's original lineup, it was never re-aired or released to the public show's YouTube. Over time, this episode has become the holy grail for die-hard fans. Descriptions survive, and a few stills have surfaced, but the actual footage has vanished. Some people believe it's tucked away in a private archive, while others think it was destroyed intentionally due to its cigarette-heavy content. Either way, it's strange to think there's a whole I Love Lucy episode out there that's just gone. And with how meticulous Lucille Ball was about her legacy, it's a mystery she probably wouldn't have loved, explains Reddit. Here's one that sounds almost too good to be true. A test episode of Gilligan's Island where the castaways are actually rescued. Rumors have swirled for decades about a version of the pilot or early test screening where the cast was saved at the end, which obviously would have changed the whole premise. Some say it was created as a backup in case the show didn't get picked up for more seasons. But strangely, no one can find it. There's no official mention of it in production notes, and the cast never seemed to confirm it outright. Still, fans claim they've seen hints or even brief clips of footage over the years. If it really existed, it's one of the biggest what-ifs in sitcom history. Why would someone destroy a full alternate ending like that? Or better yet, why keep it a secret? According to studio logs, there was an episode of Bewitched planned, and maybe filmed, that featured Samantha and her mischievous cousin Serena battling it out with magic. The concept was exciting, a real showdown between Elizabeth Montgomery's two alter egos. But for some reason, it never made it to air. The script reportedly made it to rehearsals, and a few crew members remembered it being filmed, but no one can seem to find a finished cut. Some believe network executives pulled the plug at the last second because it was too effects-heavy for the time. Others think there were technical problems that made it unusable. Whatever the reason, the idea of Montgomery facing off against herself in full magical chaos is something fans would have loved to see. Now it's just another TV mystery, buried under decades of studio dust. This one sounds like fan fiction, but there really was supposed to be a Halloween-themed Brady Bunch episode that took a spooky turn. Titled, The Ghost of Westdale High, it was centered around the kids believing their school was haunted. Scripts were written and pre-production reportedly started, but the episode was pulled for reasons that have never been publicly explained. Some speculate it was deemed too scary for younger viewers. The Brady kids have mentioned it in interviews, saying it was going to be one of the most fun episodes to shoot. But that never happened, and no footage or even stills have surfaced. It's not like the show shied away from silly or far-out ideas, so its disappearance is all the more confusing. Maybe ghosts really don't like being on TV. Fans have long whispered about a missing All in the Family episode where Archie Bunker writes a heartfelt letter to Edith. It supposedly aired during a late-night broadcast and was never rerun. The letter, according to those who claim to have seen it, showed a softer, more vulnerable side of Archie that rarely came through. But CBS has never acknowledged its existence in any official way. It's possible it was just a dream sequence or even a short sketch used for internal purposes. Still, the idea of Carol O'Connor giving such an intimate performance only once and then having it vanish is a little heartbreaking. It's one of those things that makes you wonder what else might be hiding in studio vaults. Especially for a show that pushed so many boundaries, the fact that this one went missing feels particularly strange. Everyone remembers the legendary Chuckles Bites the Dust episode, But did you know there was talk of a prequel episode about the clown's early days? According to some production notes and crew interviews, a script was written that delved into Chuckles' backstory and how he became a local TV fixture. Mary was supposed to interview him for a feature story, and hijinks would naturally follow. But for reasons unknown, the episode was canned before it ever hit the air. It was allegedly filmed and then shelved, possibly because producers thought it made light of death too soon after the original Chuckles episode. Whatever the reason, no footage has ever leaked. It's almost as if the character was meant to be funny only in death. Still, the idea of Chuckles alive and clowning around is oddly intriguing. There's long been talk among Happy Days fans about an episode where Fonzie almost got married. It was supposedly filmed between seasons and intended as a major shift in his character arc. The woman's name has been lost to time, but some claim she was meant to be a recurring character. According to the rumor mill, test audiences didn't respond well, so the episode was pulled. What's especially strange is that parts of the script seem to have been reused in later episodes where Fonzie dates more seriously. But the actual wedding attempt? Nowhere to be found. Even Henry Winkler once hinted that something like this existed but gave no details. If true, it would have been a huge shakeup for one of TV's most iconic bachelors. Somewhere in the middle seasons of Three's Company, there was an episode planned that would have given Janet a deeper storyline. She was supposed to reconnect with an old college boyfriend, sparking some tension in the apartment and maybe even a real relationship arc. It was announced in TV listings and then mysteriously replaced by a different episode last minute. Fans were left scratching their heads. Joyce DeWitt later mentioned the episode in passing during a reunion special, saying it was scrapped for reasons I still don't understand. Whether it was filmed or not remains unclear, but if it was, it's now just another ghost in the archives. It's rare that Janet got the spotlight, so losing this one stings a little more than most. Robin Williams was famous for his improvisational style, and apparently, one episode leaned all the way in. Mork Meets the President was allegedly shot as a loose, unscripted episode where Mork travels to Washington, D.C., and ends up in the Oval Office. Only problem? No one can find the episode now. Williams reportedly ad-libbed most of it, and the political humor may have been too edgy for ABC at the time. It's believed the network shelved it out of concern for backlash, especially if it aired during an election season. A few stills exist, but no video has surfaced. Given how much of Williams's genius came from moments like that, losing this episode feels like a true missed opportunity. It could have been one of the wildest sitcom moments of the 70s. There's a missing episode that was supposed to feature Blair and Joe in a blowout argument that almost ended their friendship for good. It was meant to be a season finale and dealt with some surprisingly serious issues. The rumor is that network execs felt it was too heavy and replaced it with a lighter episode at the last minute. Cast members have mentioned filming something intense that never aired. The idea was to show growth and eventually reconciliation, but it never made it past the editing room. For fans who loved their dynamic, it's disappointing that we never got to see that emotional peak. Especially considering how close the characters became later, seeing how they handled a serious fallout would have been powerful. Now it's just another could have been. If you remember the ALF series finale, you'll recall it ended on a massive cliffhanger, ALF captured by the government. What many people don't know is that a proper conclusion was supposedly filmed before the show got cancelled. This hidden finale was meant to tie up the story and give ALF a happy ending, but NBC never aired it. No one really knows why. Some say budget cuts or poor ratings prevented it from going live. Others think it was simply forgotten once the network moved on. Years later, a TV movie tried to wrap things up, but fans still want to see that original final episode. It's the closure we never got, and likely never will. One of the more dramatic missing episodes in sitcom lore involves Perfect Strangers. There was reportedly an episode in the later seasons where Larry suffers a minor breakdown from work stress. It was meant to show a more human side to his neurotic tendencies. But after filming, it was pulled before it aired. Some insiders said it felt out of step with the show's comedic tone. Others say it hit too close to home for test audiences. Either way, it's gone now, and the show never really explored Larry's emotional health again. Which feels like a missed chance for some real character growth. Before Frasier Crane became a beloved mainstay of Cheers, there was allegedly an unaired introduction episode. It was said to be a soft test, where he interacted with Carla and Cliff in a side plot independent of Diane. The plan was to see how audiences responded to the character before making him a regular. But for whatever reason, it was pulled and reshot for his official debut. Even Kelsey Grammer has been vague about whether it ever made it to the studio floor. No footage has surfaced, and NBC hasn't acknowledged it. Still, the idea of seeing Frasier before he was Frasier is too tempting for fans. It's like a missing puzzle piece in the evolution of one of TV's greatest spin-offs. According to some production staffers, there was an episode written, and possibly filmed, for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air that introduced a previously unmentioned cousin. The plot involved Will meeting this cousin from Philly who'd gotten into trouble and was staying with the Banks family for a while. The dynamic was supposed to mirror Will's own arrival, creating some tension. But the episode was pulled last minute and never aired. No official reason was ever given, though some speculate it might have been too similar to past storylines. Others think the character just didn't click on screen. Either way, the episode vanished from the lineup, and the cousin was never mentioned again. It's one of those stories that could have added layers to Will's backstory but ended up erased.